Yeah, I'd like to get set up. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charlie Neuner. I work at PwC. I sit in our immersive technologies team there at our tech function, and my role is specifically looking after our strategy pillar. Actually, it's not going to work, so let me just click as I go. And that strategy pillar really is to help both our business internally and our clients understand the enterprise values of immersive tech and the Web3 space. So what I'm going to do today is, I know we talked about what is the Metaverse. I'm not going to dwell on this too long. I'm going to play a short video to give you how we define the Metaverse. It's got a slight financial services lens to it, but we think it's applicable kind of across the board. So I'm going to play that video and then start diving into where we see the business value, and specifically the business value today, especially in the current economic climate where companies and investors are kind of hesitant to invest in these things.
The Metaverse. What is it? Where is it? And what does it mean for the future of financial services? The Metaverse is a virtual world that blurs the line between the physical and digital. All you need to do to get there is log on and embody your personal avatar. Many worlds exist within Metaverse platforms. Some look like our normal world, while others appear as fantastical dreamscapes. Early examples of this exist in video games, but the Metaverse is far more than a game. Real people populate the Metaverse, seeking connections and shared experiences that aren't limited by the practical boundaries of the real world. The Metaverse offers them new ways to learn, collaborate, and build relationships with their friends, colleagues, and clients. Real people spend real money on digital goods and services in this space, and innovative companies have already leapt into this new market. Concert tickets, real estate, school, vacations, clothes, and digital currency trading. If it exists in the real world, it's possible it exists in the Metaverse. With the Metaverse offering such a large volume and variety of transactions, there are now new ways for consumers and companies participating in the virtual space to be taken advantage of. This problem presents an exciting opportunity for well-placed financial institutions to provide completely new and desperately needed financial products to protect consumers from those acting in bad faith. Products that offer banking-grade security for digital wallets, data privacy, cybersecurity, and verification of Metaverse users' avatar personas. Although still in its infancy, the technology is fast evolving. The market is growing, and billions of dollars are being invested and spent in the Metaverse. Waiting too long to take advantage of the opportunities presented by this virtual space could see them taken up by others, who aren't traditional financial service providers, but can embed these services into their offerings faster and at cheaper rates. PwC has devoted years of research into advancing our understanding of this fast-evolving digital economy from a business, technical, legal, tax, and compliance perspective. Now's the time to get yourself up to speed, develop a strategy, and test the waters. Focus on trust, rethink core competencies, and align the physical and digital world to reimagine what's possible as you enter the Metaverse and provide the vital services consumers need.
Perfect. Won't believe how long that took to get the brand and the avatars and whatnot, but we got there. So yeah, I think the key thing to point out really is that I had a conversation outside about kind of how do we define it. We really define it as really an evolution. It's not a revolution of the internet, really, and it's really moved from that information-driven age to the social-driven age. How we see it is really that's that experiential-driven internet. The need and desire for consumers and businesses to have a more, I guess, engaging internet and richer experiences. So yeah, and to the point earlier that was made, it is not, as Miguel mentioned, the metaverse with a capital M to this day does not exist, but the various technologies that underpin it do. And if you take advantage of those, then you are start to see kind of real value. And really, a lot of the work that we do is around kind of the immersive aspect and the interactive experiences. And many of the stuff that you'll see in the media today around metaverse platforms, a lot of it really, especially in the mass consumer market, is still desktop, tablet, mobile. It's not really branched into the kind of the VR and AR at a scalable level. That said, that's not saying that within VR and AR there are very key use cases today that drive real business value, but it's key to point out that we're still relatively very early in that journey. And also there was the talk around, are we going to leave people behind? If you look at even like retail and how the shopping experience has evolved, a lot of the original retail experiences still exist. Yes, they're starting to fade out. The same way that you can access the metaverse on a VR or potentially mixed reality device, the idea is a lot of these platforms will design them also for tablet, mobile, etc. And we will not leave people behind, especially in the near future. Is a global and encompassing experience. And just in terms of, I guess, context, some of you, obviously, I guess, would have, I can't speak that for myself, but when the internet was kind of on up and coming, there was a lot of doubters. Is it a fad? Obviously, in the past year, we've had very similar things around the metaverse, RIP, metaverse, your NFTs are useless. And a lot of what we've seen potentially is a lot of people, jump very early and it's super exciting, but how do we actually refocus and focus on things like trust and real value? And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit around in terms of where we're seeing in business value today. So in terms of kind of where the value is coming from, PwC, we classify these into 4 main sections, and that is the kind of brand community, workforce enablement, revenue diversification, and process optimization. So the brand community, a lot of it you will have seen in the press when you look at the likes of your Nikes, your Gucci's, in the Roblox world. It's really around how do you engage with that next-gen consumer? How do you kind of bring them in? How do you potentially get them to purchase some of your items? How do you form a community around your specific brand or product or business? There's lots and lots of successful examples, and really some more successful examples when you look at how businesses have tied that back to loyalty. The one I always like to bring up is the Chipotle example that they did with Roblox. They gave away a shed load of free burritos, which obviously going to draw people in. They broke the Roblox servers. They got loads and loads and loads of impressions. But to this day, it's still their #1 day for digital sales based on that day, and also in their top 10 for getting new customers on their loyalty scheme. So you see the amount of, the volume of, consumers and attention it gets, and that's why businesses and brands are looking into it to attract a new demographic. From a workforce enablement piece, we do a lot of this at PwC, work internally with our clients, all around immersive experiences around training. There's some brands outside, training and remote collaboration, whether that be soft skills training, whether it be kind of public speaking training or unconscious bias training, all the way through to job skills simulation training that looks at kind of from a healthcare perspective that was mentioned earlier, all surgeries, all the way through to kind of fixing and kind of repair and maintenance. Some really, really interesting kind of use cases there. Then you've got the revenue diversification piece. This is obviously super interesting for most businesses. How do we kind of future-proof our business? How do we open up new revenue streams? The classic example is we've all seen what Nike have done. I think this was a couple of years ago, but they had close to $200 million in sales, or in $200 million they brought in for their NFT sales. Just about half of that was from royalties from their kind of smart contracts baked in. So you're looking at just not only once the product is out there, obviously you need to keep your consumers engaged and understand that there needs to be a strategy behind it. You can carry on making money even though the product is out there. So it's a really interesting way that companies are doing that. Similarly, if you look at what Starbucks have done, and they've tied the revenue diversification piece to customer loyalty, they've launched, or it's a closed beta, their Odyssey program. They had $2.8 million in NFT sales in just that closed beta. So, and how they link that to the real world is going to be really interesting, and as it launches, super excited to see what that means. And again, that is a brand that is already, very much in the eyes of the next-gen consumer, and they're carrying on to do so, and then can look to kind of outcompete their competitors in that space as well. And then lastly is the process optimization piece, which we talked about earlier, which is really around the industrial metaverse. Using the likes of your digital twins, your remote assistants or on site. How do you enrich your experiences on site and make them more efficient? A lot of these technologies we talked earlier are have been around for years and years and years, and it's how do we bring them together to kind of realize them in a better way. So that's kind of a little bit around where we see the value. What I'm going to talk about now is at PwC where we've dived into some of those and seen value. We'll talk a little bit about our internal use cases, but then also we'll touch on some of the client use cases where I can. From a workforce enablement piece, in a remote collaboration, we've done it across a number of different ways, and we've looked at both the 2D space and the kind of the VR space as well. And I'll come on to that. But we've launched a global Metaverse campus, which is available for all kind of 300,000+ employees at PwC globally, all that signed up to it, most territories did. And it's the idea of a kind of 2D virtual world where people can come into, have meetings, engage in training sessions, have escape rooms, whatever it may be, and really come together and bring them to life. So the one thing that's always the case is is it a novelty thing? And, where is the value coming from? When we see Zoom and these tools are fantastic tools, and there's a reason why they are, multi-billion or million-dollar organizations. This really works for us when you have the likes of 50, 60, 100, 200 people to bring them together in a virtual world to allow them to traverse the space and give them their own journey. You can ask them to go to different areas, different breakout areas. It's much better, in our opinion, than having an all-hands call on a Zoom call, and that's where we see it a little bit fail. So we now have teams that actively have their huddles or their kind of weekly sessions in there. And similarly, what we're also seeing, which is fascinating, is the teams when they're working remotely, there are individual offices within this space, and they will set up themselves in their individual office. And when, instead of, when you're remote and you can't speak to someone, it's kind of intrusive sometimes to, send them a message, send them a Google Meet link. This way you can just walk around the office and walk into their room and have a chat with them. So it's a way, how do you, as we move into this hybrid world, how do we kind of bring ourselves closer together even though we're kind of more separate in that sense? Similarly, we also have something called the virtual park, which is somewhat, still a walled garden metaverse or virtual world, but this is purely used for recruitment. So this was originally launched during COVID. Our recruitment team couldn't go out to campus. How do they engage with future graduates? And we created these virtual worlds to kind of teach them about PwC and bring them together. Obviously, we had just tens of thousands of different students have been through this. Again, hugely successful over COVID, but then what's been really interesting is how it's been successful post-COVID. And if you look at the interaction hours in terms of the amount of hours people spend in the park versus the specific events, as well as the demographics and that we can reach because of it, it's we're talking about many more contact hours for the recruitment team to talk to people. So some really good success stories around that. And even today, when we are still going out to campus, we are also running the virtual events so we reach a larger demographic. From a VR perspective, there's been loads of studies into the effectiveness of VR for collaboration. Again, you can create these custom environments. They're very bespoke to specific teams. But where we're seeing a lot of value, especially for our clients, is around kind of agile working. We create these giant rooms for PI planning and daily huddles, assistants that people can come back to, and you can bring together global teams. Bring global teams together so that they can interact and actually see each other. And the beauty of this is obviously that those that haven't tried it, you have a full-bodied avatar with spatial audio. If someone speaks on your left, you feel the need to look at them on the left-hand side. A lot of them have eye tracking and face tracking with the new headsets. So the ability of a level of immersion is fantastic. And I'll tell you, I ran a session with a bunch of partners around resourcing. I've never sat through an hour-long session with partners that's so engaged in a resourcing meeting because of they couldn't go anywhere. They were in their VR headset. They couldn't look at their emails. They couldn't look at their phones. They were so engaged, and therefore was a productive conversation. Of course, these aren't perfect for everything, but there are certain instances where they are very good.
So, sorry, just on that, can you just explain if you've given all employees a headset for themselves, do they access it through the office? How do they?
So the 2D platforms is all on the PwC laptops. You just download the software, or one of them's actually a web link for the virtual park for prospective employees. For these, they are enterprise managed devices. Not all our employees. I wish all our employees got them. That's quite the undertaking. But for specific events and sessions and workshops, we will send them out and manage them kind of locally as a team. And that again, there's a kind of global remit of headsets that are resourced based on different teams that are sent out appropriately. And then, of course, there's the open metaverse that we kind of, or decentralized metaverse that we've also played in. Now, we've launched space. There's an interactive scavenger hunt. There is a kind of a climate change experience, an investment kind of ESG investment game. Lots of really interesting things. But I think the biggest learning out of this is understanding as an organisation what it takes to actually, purchase a piece of land in Decentraland. Like, how do you get it through 9 to 12 months of your risk frameworks and getting everything through global brand, like even the idea of getting your logo to be 3D, to be put in these spaces, all things that I had personally never thought of, but really glad we went through that learning sport. And as a result, we've then have kind of brought these expertise to our clients, and we've looked at how we support clients in issuing NFTs in the kind of decentralized world to a financial institution, the KYC requirements that come with it, lots of interesting things that come up the back of it. Lastly, unconscious bias training, soft skills training in my shoes, putting you in the shoes of ethnic minorities. VR training was hugely effective, using it for using VR as an empathy machine. I'll skip over that. And then just in terms of getting started and ways to prepare, talk through it a little bit on the video. We're all here, which is fantastic. So in terms of getting up to speed, but it's all around developing a strategy and testing waters. So I heard recently that you need an AI plus strategy. So obviously AI comes to the forefront of a lot of what we're our strategies and emerging tech going forward. But looking at potentially what is it in your specific business that you are struggling to find value in, or you have specific business challenges. How can these technologies improve those? Look at those, test them out. As I said, the learnings that you have when we actually do them is phenomenal. And then looking at your core competencies, do you need different types of people? Do you need to hire to do so? Aligning the physical and digital is essential. You can't have one thing that is in the physical world that's completely different to the digital world. And a lot of brands went through that process as they launched experiences in the metaverse. And lastly, the ability to focus on trust, which I know has come up a lot today, and really making sure that everything you do when you embark on this kind of metaverse Web3 journey has an element of trust. And I guess, let's say, we embarked on a level of trust, and also you rethink things like this, which is our metaverse framework around ethics, policy regulation, and so on and so forth. Because this is why, if you looked at that very earlier slide around 2023, a lot of the failures and a lot of the negativity has come off the back of us not rethinking or not really going to and launching these things with an element of trust and ethics alongside them. So it's really making sure that we do that so that it can future-proof it, for the next generation. Awesome. Last thing, very excited about the Vision Pro. Anyone that might be getting one, and people one coming from America, but lots of things to come that I'm super excited about, and what Gen AI can do for the metaverse and vice versa, around being another tool to. Someone told me that a smartphone is, or Gen AI is the metaverse is what smartphone was to YouTube. The ability to even create is, the way they can just go and create. Yes, Gen AI might not be there yet, but that's the idea, and therefore we won't be, we open it up in terms of creators. So lots of interesting things to come. Awesome. Thank you very much.